Okay. So we are live on Facebook and we are live on our Instagram page as well. So before, and also just give me 1 second because we have some people, someone to join us on Zoom. We have Lisa here. So Lisa, welcome. It's so lovely to have you here. I see some people here on our Instagram live and also on our Facebook live, which is amazing. So I'm very, very much excited today, and I want to welcome you all. I'm very excited because today is a special day. One of my most favorite, amazing, wonderful people in the world is here with me today. Her name is Athanasiadi. And in case you don't know her, she is an artist, she's an entrepreneur, and also she's an amazing human being. Welcome, Iris.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Alexandra. It's really nice to be here with you today. We're very excited for our conversation.
Me too. I'm very excited because today we're going to talk about my favorite topic, mindfulness at workplace. And Aris, as a mindfulness movement coach, architect, choreographer, and performer, she is going to share with us some of her most favorite tips, best practices, and hacks about how to be more mindful at work, but also on a kind of our day-to-day lives outside work, which is so much needed. So speaking about mindfulness at work, we know that mindfulness can actually help us to reduce anxiety and stress. It can help us with sleep, with decision-making, focus, and self-control. And mindfulness, if will be delivered the right way to your employees, can actually help them to work and bring their best self at work, which is so important, while they feel happier, in balance, more energized, and create an amazing kind of team bonding experience as well. So let me, for those of you who don't know Iris, let me introduce you to Iris Athanasiadi. As I said before, she's an architect, a choreographer, an interdisciplinary performer who is based in London. Since 2015, she has been exploring threads between architecture and choreography as a choreographer. She has developed a very unique approach, something like a signature approach to mindfulness at workplace, and more specifically, mindfulness through movement. So her purpose and her life's kind of mission is to support and empower people in rediscovering their body, the body and mind relationship, and helps them to reconnect, help people feel more reconnected with their environment. Before I move towards the next kind of phase of introducing Iris, because this is not enough to say about an amazing expert in mindfulness field like her, I want to Iris to just ask you about mindfulness and what mindfulness means to you on a personal level.
Of course. So simply put, mindfulness for me is the practice of being in the present moment, because we live in a very, very complex world, and the amount of information and stimuli that's available to us is so much, and it gets to a point where everything becomes overwhelming, and that has a severe impact on the way we function as bodies, as minds, as souls, and it affects our daily interactions, it affects our performance at work, our relationships, So by getting back into our bodies and by getting back into a calm state of being, then we're able to really make sense of that world and bring out, as you said, the best of ourselves too. So practicing that is so important, and being present is the only way to do it.
Oh my God, that's so beautifully said, Iris. It's very interesting because despite being so young, you have built such an amazing career already in this world of mindfulness. And I remember the other day we were having this conversation about your workshops and artist talks delivered to amazing universities here in the UK, the University of Bedfordshire, the Cambridge School of Art, Anglia Ruskin University, Trinity London Conservatoire of Music and Dance. So you have done so much work and research in this field, and it's so interesting, to talk a little bit more about, what is the most kind of common question students ask you about mindfulness?
I love that question because I'm very passionate about supporting people in being themselves and in bringing out the best out of them. So my work with our students and people who are studying architecture and people who are becoming professional performers who need to be at their optimal stage every time they have an important presentation or performance, is that how can I bring myself in this state of calmness, in this state of readiness, and to really deliver the best of me at the time when I need it. Because, it's sometimes we need so much preparation to get us there. And when the time comes, sometimes the nerves kick in and we're not able to bring out all the good things that we've been practicing. So there's really a methodology and a set of tools to make that happen for you. It's really possible. And of course, it's a practice, which means you will have to attend to these steps, but it's totally doable. And if you have a great expert, a great coach to help you and guide you through that, it's something that you can carry on with you for the rest of your life.
Wow, that's so incredibly said. And actually works as an anchor, right? As a toolkit. And for me personally, as a well-being expert and a mindfulness coach, this is exactly how it feels always. But thanks so much for sharing about this kind of angle when it comes to mindfulness. It's not a theoretical thing. It's such a practical thing, as I said, as a real anchor in life. So it's very interesting because many of our clients, they have seen recently some of our posts about your recent performance and Tate Modern. And many of them, they've asked us some questions about what is this about, what type of performance is that. So for some of you that they might not know about this performance, it is called Our Labyrinth. It is has been created by Lee Mingay, and it takes place in Tate Modern till 15th of June. It is inspired by temple sweepers in Myanmar. And in this performance, we see single dancers dressed in floor-length sarongs and wearing ankle bells, take it in turns to sweep a mound of rice and patterns on the floor in a designated gallery space. Let me tell you that I've been there, I've seen that play, that performance, and I was so much moved and inspired, and I admired so much your work and your performance, Iris, but also the rest of the team. And for me, seeing that, I could totally then tell what is mindful movement all about. And can you tell us a little bit more, as a corporate well-being expert yourself participating in this play and this performance, what do you think that makes this experience so special?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your kind words. I do remember talking to you after the experience, and it's been lovely to hear your reflection, really. So this world is very special to me because it's so well connected to my practice and what I deliver as a well-being expert. And as you said, it's all about moving mindfully and using your body to connect to others, to connect with your environment, and really changing the pace of daily life, because it has to do with slow movement, really slow movement. And so people who attend this kind of work and who are really able to connect with that slow movement pace, they develop this kind of kinesthetic empathy, and they feel the effects of that movement in their bodies. And what we do in their corporate well-being sessions, when we practice mindful movement, is empowering our bodies to take over again, using the movement as a way to understand ourselves and bring ourselves to a state of being that's all about calmness, it's about readiness, it's about being present. And I've chosen movement as a way to do that because I think that our bodies have an innate knowledge of how to exist in this world in a very healthy and connected way. So there's something that makes sense in taking charge over our bodies again and revisiting that mind and body connection that's being neglected, when we sit on our laptops for many, many hours through the day, and maybe we barely walk to the tube, and we're being transported to work, or we work from home, so we don't have this experience of going out, walking, changing positions. I feel like it's really important to revisit that connection and reintroduce ourselves to how we interact with the world in such sense.
Wow, this is so powerful. And that brings me back to because I was reading one of the artists, this Lee Minge interviews, who was talking about the art of meditation and how this can be a gift to the community and to the society. And I could see that in this play or labyrinth, I could see that meditation was the kind of integral element in everything that was going on. For those 2 hours I was there, I could feel, as I was meditating at the same time while you were in this mindful movement meditation journey. And speaking of mindful meditation and mindful journey, it's interesting because, as I've said before, one of your signature programs as a corporate well-being expert is the mindful movement workshops. And during those workshops, what you actually do is supporting employees in discovering their authentic self. And it's a practice that helps people to become a little bit more curious and a little bit more creative about themselves, but also about life. So when somebody asks me what is the number one reason why to join one of your workshops, what I normally reply is that if you feel stressed, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel that you are not in your center and aligned body mind to know and learn how to bring it in alignment, if you're looking for new ways to explore in terms of a creative kind of practice, if you want to become more self-aware, If you want to practice self-care, but also self-growth, then this type of program, this type of workshops are exactly what you're looking for. And me personally, I highly recommend. I was part of those workshops, and I had a great time. So if I could put what you do, Iris, in a why is that so important, and who are the people who would love to be part of those workshops? As I said before, there are so many reasons why somebody would love to have this experience. But in terms of other testimonials about your signature program, I was reading that there was a participant who said that by just participating in one of your workshops, they felt empowered and they had this kind of liberating kind of feeling. Why is that? What makes your mindful movement classes receiving such a great feedback over and over again?
I'm really humbled to receive all this wonderful feedback and different feedback. And that's because the practice is so open that everyone can use it to their own advantage, and they can bring out results that maybe they're not the immediate results that somebody would expect from such a practice. And that particular one you pulled out, it was really magnificent to read and to hear from that participant, because our bodies store so much information unconsciously, and we store so much so many different emotions, and there are things that we don't understand that they're there, but we are an entity that's full of information, emotions, sensations. So with this practice, we unpack. So we let our true self unravel through that practice. And the more emotions we unpack, the more liberated we feel. And by getting to the core of what makes us who we are, then we are able to find our center, then we are able to empower ourselves and really get out to this world and bring the best of us to our environment, to the people who are around us. And how I would like to frame this practice, if not anything else, is it helps us make sense of the world. And we may be working, for example, on one idea or a project that's very complicated in our work, and we feel like we feel like we're lost or we're stuck and we can't get to the core of it. Then we practice something like mindful movement, and our bodies that work kind of differently from that intellect side of us are able to help us make sense of what we do at work, but not by working on that same idea. So we're stuck here and we go to something else that's kind of completely in a different line. And then we're able to come back to our project, come back to our problem and solve that, because we allowed ourselves some time and mental space to do something else.
Wow, that's so beautifully said, and such a great point, because I was just thinking the other day, one of the main reasons why I normally take a digital detox at least once a month during a weekend, it's because of what you just said. And there are so many kind of external, visuals and news and all those kind of external kind of stimuli that sometimes I feel like we get bombarded nonstop. And I see that with the clients we work with their employees. There are moments that they might feel so much overwhelmed and they don't know what to do. They feel drained, without any obvious reason. They're like, it's not like they might be working hard or long hours. Some of them, they do work like normal hours. And there's so much work-life balance in their lives, but they still feel drained and still feel nervous and anxious. And in many cases, it's so important to access practices like what you just said, a mindful movement kind of practice, or a digital detox kind of practice, or any other practice that can actually help to cleanse our system mentally, emotionally, is so important. So Iris, to many of my clients, what I normally say about you, it is not just what I admire about you. It's not just about you as an artist or as an coach, as an like an architect, but also as an entrepreneur. And I feel like you are one of the very few people in my life that you have a real, true entrepreneurial spirit. And to some of my clients that, I say that and I recommend you or suggest you as an amazing expert to work with. I say that because you have this entrepreneurial spirit, you can totally resonate with, modern employees' needs and challenges and priorities. And it sounds like how come you are all of those things? There's so much kind of a multi-dimensional approach in everything you do. And I highly recommend to viewers or our clients who might be watching this later to go and check at TEDx that you been the speaker, and you gave an amazing talk about dancing with space. I say that you're not just a dancer and choreographer, but also as a researcher during this talk, you actually explain the relationship between space and body in motion. This is something you've explored in such a deep level. And it's interesting because during this talk, somebody can see this kind of relationship between body and emotion and space. And can you tell us a little bit more about this talk, and if there is any key takeaway for employees who work from home that they can actually, get inspired by?
Of course. That was a great experience at TEDx. I was really honored to be invited as a speaker to this event. And because you talked about the multidisciplinary kind of way that I do things. So the way I've been able to do this is finding common threads, so strands that run along my practice, and that always has to be the body in space. And that's why the body is very central to my practice and to all the packages that I deliver, all the workshops, all the talks, all the coaching programs, because I believe that our bodies are a vehicle of how we exist in the world. And it's something that's alive, it's ever changing, and the environment changes with us. So this talk was about how we perceive space through the body and how the space really affects the way we live and the decisions that we make. And the first thing I say in this talk is something that I could share with employees or like corporate members that are watching right now. Is next time you walk in the city and you try to navigate the city, I want you to really observe the choices that you're making. And maybe that's like a common route that you're taking. You're walking to work or to the tube using the same path every day. However, the steps that you take or like the turns that you take are never going to be the same per single day, because there are people walking with you. There are obstacles when you try to navigate the city. There's traffic. Maybe the buildings have changed. Maybe there's a tree and some leaves falling, so they kind of change the decisions you're making. That's a really mindful practice to do, is be really present in your walk and observe how the environment affects the choices that you make. And of course, um, as another human being in that path, you also affect the choices that other people make. So you're really part of this multi-layered environment of living human beings, of the built environment, and it's something that's always changing. So it's a very dynamic one. So that would be a tip, a mindful practice that you could try literally today. Maybe going back home from work or going to the supermarket or something.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And I think that was something like a mindfulness gift to us, Iris. Thank you so much for that. And going back to what you said just a little bit earlier about, I think mindfulness has been an integral part of your journey of being so great in so many different things. Because somebody might be wondering, how is it even possible, for a person, that young to be delivering talks and workshops to TEDx, to big universities in the UK, to participate in some world-known performances with some well-established artists. And then on top of that, to run her own signature programs and collaborate with brands like ours. It's just incredible. And my question to you is like, do you give credits to yourself for all of this? Oh, and yeah, I mean, is it something you take a pause and you reflect and you say, yes, I'm doing great, and I will keep working, towards my goal, but so far I'm doing such a great job. Is it something you do, or not really?
Thank you so much for this question. And I know we've been talking about this, you and I, together before. And I've really tried to incorporate that to what I do from when you mentioned it. But I think for me, the most important thing is to measure the kind of impact you have to other people. So I get such joy and excitement and pleasure from the way people grow through this practice and the results they're able to bring, and the way this practice changes their life, really, because it's about changing daily habits and also, as we've said, bringing out the best of yourself. So when I hear the feedback, when I hear the reflections, and when I hear their kind of story and where their path is taking them, this for me is the greatest satisfaction, and I know something is working, right.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. And since I've met you, it's been just a few years. I have been so much inspired by your work, but also, by you as a personality. So I feel so much blessed. And that's why, as I said before, recommend to employees, we normally deliver our services to come and check out your programs, because they are life-changing. Let's put it this way. So, Aris, if there is a person who has never meditated before, has never heard of the word mindfulness, and they come to you and they ask, what is mindful movement and how does it work? Kind of simple like explanation so everybody can actually understand. What would you say?
Of course. And I think it's important to pinpoint that moment when somebody has no idea about any of this and they want to start.
Yes.
I know how overwhelming it might feel. So mindful movement is the practice of mindfulness through the body, through bodily movement. The practice of being present and aware of the state of your body and your state of being right now. That's it, very simply put.
Mm.
We're using the body as a vehicle and the movement as a way to get us there, but it's all about the present moment.
Wow, that's powerful. And normally, it's in these moments when we are fully aligned in the present moment, when real miracles happen in our lives. Even simple, very simple things suddenly become some of the most wonderful things in our lives. And then about the benefits, right? I've heard a lot of employees, and because of our conversations, our meetings with HRs, I hear this question a lot. It's like, what are the benefits? What are the benefits of mindfulness at workplace? What do you say?
I think you've already mentioned how it helps you cope with stress and anxiety, and connecting that to what I've said before, that a lot of the stress and anxiety is stored in our body. It lets us get really in the core of how to untangle our emotions and how to really free ourselves up from that kind of blockages that we have that of course affect our mental performance as well. So it affects the way we perform at work because of how we store things in our body. It's a great way to connect with other like co-workers and connect with other bodies in space in that sense, because of how liberated we are. Then we're able to receive more, and it really helps us getting into that state of calmness so that we are able to see things clearly. So we are able to find that clarity whenever somebody's telling us like a new idea, or we're trying to problem solve. It's like everything else kind of quietens down, all the outer stimuli, and we're able to focus on the thing we need to solve, the thing we need to deliver. But we're doing that without, with an urgency, but without the stress that goes along with that urgency. You know, so we're, I think focus is a really, really important one. And clarity, yeah.
Yeah, focus and clarity. And this is normally, again, based on my experience, for me personally. If there is one thing that meditation does in a really short period of time, is enhancing focus and concentration, makes us almost leisure focused. Which is a beautiful kind of gift, because in this kind of post-pandemic world, we all get to be so much bombarded of information and distracted. And sometimes all we need really is just to find a new way to declutter our mind. And this is not always easy, right? So many times employees we deliver our programs to, they tell us that it's so hard for them to stay focused. And it's so hard to stay still or quiet. And to be honest, practicing mindfulness and meditation, in many cases, this is one of the prerequisites, almost the steps towards that direction. So what do you reply to those people who do want to meditate, who do want to practice mindfulness, but they don't know how to, and they cannot, in many cases, to stay still, quiet, and focused?
I think it's really important to mention that if you want to start, if you have that willingness and that desire in you, you have to know that you can start wherever you are right now. You don't have to be perfect at it, which is really important. You don't have to have the perfect equipment or, you know, the perfect environment. Meditation and focus is about choosing one task that you can do right now. It doesn't have to be like staying silent and still for 30 minutes or you're unsuccessful. You know, it can be something like doing the dishes for some people, or as I said before, walking to your workplace and observing, being within your environment rather than, you know, scrolling down on your phone and walking. So really pick one task that works for you right now and you don't find overwhelming, and put all your focus and energy on that. And the second thing I want to mention is the reason why I chose mindful movement as my main expertise in corporate wellness world is because I felt that movement is really important in that practice. So in mindful movement, there are some moments that there's quietness and stillness, but it's also blended it with gentle movement. And you don't need any movement background to practice that. It's all, you know, guided gradually in a very comfortable way. But I mean, there is space for you to bring out the body in this practice, and everything is welcome in that space. You are given agency to be however you want to be in that space, and I feel like that's really important. And that's something that allows you to be your true self in this practice anyway. And if one day you feel like, you know, staying still and quiet for the whole session, it's fine. If you feel like, you know, your body is crying for some movement and you want to get a little bit deeper into that practice, that's fine too. So there's always a way to make things work for you, as long as you're adaptable and you're willing to delve deeper into that world.
Wow, such a wonderful like topic here about having that beginner's mind and meeting our practitioners, our students, exactly where they are. And it's very interesting what you just said about this kind of, there is a myth around the meditation and mindfulness that it has to be necessarily done and executed in a certain way. But the truth is there are so many ways to actually experience the same journey. There's not just one single route. There are so many different avenues, and in many cases that's exactly what I recommend to my clients who tell me, Alex, I cannot stay still, I cannot quiet my busy mind, I cannot close my eyes and stay with myself, it's really overwhelming. So what I normally reply back is that this is actually part of your practice, to accept this part unconditionally with not judgment. And this kind of element of self-acceptance is so important. So when I normally go and teach meditation to businesses in finance, for example, or and technology, what for some people might be really, really difficult to quiet the mind, the busy mind. The first thing I normally say is that this practice is accessible. It's everybody's welcome, and we are going to experience the art of meditation and mindfulness regardless the the barriers, regardless the obstacles we normally set ourselves just in front of us. So it's so important to learn that there is no obstacles, there are no barriers. We are going to experience it, each one of us, in a different way. We follow different kind of strategies. So every single employee feels that, yes, actually there is something there for me. And from an expert's perspective, it's so important for people like you and me, artists, to be able to go and reach out to those people who need those practices and teach them in a way that is actually helpful and speaks to their hearts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To that, I would say that it's a celebration of the unique self, because everybody's different. And as you said, by facilitating a practice that welcomes everybody and that accepts everybody the way they are, I think that's where the empowerment comes from. And it's really important.
So beautiful. And it's also a journey of self-love. And so many of us, we do not know how to actually love ourselves unconditionally. And if you ask me, I would say that mindfulness, such an amazing vehicle for us to experience self-love and in a really kind of a deep level. Now, I know many senior leaders in the corporate world who they get a little bit stressed before they go to deliver a talk, a speech to a big, huge audience. And they, in many cases, they ask me, Alex, how do I relax myself? How do I distress myself before a big event? And I know that you've been a speaker, a public speaker. You've been delivering so many talks throughout the years. And I believe you are the go-to person when it comes to this topic. So what do you recommend?
And this is a topic that's very dear to my heart, because I have indeed done a lot of workshops and talks, but I also have a practice that specializes in helping professional performers be at their optimal performance state of being. So the way corporate leaders can use that practice is probably on a one-to-one basis, like a one-to-one coaching session that helps them prepare for that day. So that, as we said at the beginning, when you need to be that state of being, you know exactly how to get yourself there. Because public speaking, presentations, and some really important deals that need to be closed are very stressful situations by nature.
Yes.
But with that practice, we can help eliminate that kind of outside world and really find our strength and focus from within. And this way we're able to, as you said before, laser focus on what the task is and how to deliver our best self and make the best decisions with clarity, as we said before, for our business.
Wow, that's amazing, so powerful what you just said. And it makes me thinking about the idea of cultivating a state of relaxed focus, and the idea of cultivating a state of relaxed alertness within us. In many cases, Iris, I speak with employees who work from home in many cases, and they tell me, you know what, I don't need meditation in my life, because what meditation does, it's making us be deeply and fully relaxed, and I don't want to be relaxed. I need to be focused and energized and like multitasking and meeting tight deadlines and all those things. And I normally, because myself, I used to work in the corporate world before, so I know what they are talking about. But I always smile because it makes me thinking that, we have built so many myths around meditation and mindfulness. So when I hear this, what I reply back is that meditation, it is not about deep relaxation, but it is about cultivating a state of relaxed focus and relaxed alertness, just like Alice mentioned earlier about the idea of being leisure focused and bringing clarity in mind, while at the same time, we don't feel drained and depleted and overwhelmed, but we feel like we are, we are excited and we are enthusiastic and passionate, and we're in this flow state, which is the most incredible state of being when it comes to work, right? And a workplace. Amazing, Iris. So if we
I
have
think it's so,
yeah.
sorry to cut you off there. I think it's so important what you just said. And the sooner we realize what's actually true and what's not, the sooner we can immerse ourselves into this practice and find that flow and clarity that you mentioned. And I think the second kind of most famous myth is that that practice takes time.
Yeah.
And because time is now our most precious commodity, nobody wants to give up time and energy if they don't know, oh, it's going to work for sure, or I can see the results immediately. But I guarantee you that this practice is working as a slow burner, it's working. And, by keeping ourselves busy all the time, it doesn't mean that we're actually like what we do is working. And if we're stuck on one project or one idea, as I've said before, and spending hours and hours trying to figure that out, instead of doing a half an hour meditation session, 20 minutes mindfulness session to unlock our potential when we're stuck, it doesn't mean that we're doing any better working on that. So it's really about finding that perfect balance and identifying what's actually helpful and what's actually beneficial for us. And for those people who are skeptical, I just say, give it a try, give it a go.
Wow, so incredibly important what you just said as a reminder, and especially what you just said about time and how much we have conditioned ourselves in today's society to not be willing to invest time and not be willing to wait for a long time or even for just a little bit of time. We want everything just now. And how actually, the results, these long-lasting results of helping us to be more aligned and energized and productive and happier all at the same time, that there can be long-lasting results when it comes to that, and they can actually achieved via mindfulness as long as we are aware of how the body and the mind works, aware of our self-limiting thoughts and beliefs, but also the habitual patterns, the normal kind of daily habits that keep sabotaging our growth, our self-growth journey. Iris, I'm mindful about the time here also, and I just want to ask one last question, which is about burnout. And as you may know already, burnout has been at the heart of everything we do in Urban Yoga Lab, simply because most of our experts, they used to work in the corporate world before. They have seen employees experiencing burnout, and me personally, myself, I have been there. completely and totally helpless, not having access to the right tools and resources and platforms. So it's my mission and my life's work to share those tools with as many employees as possible. And part of the reason why we're having this conversation today is that to spread the message of how important is self-awareness and mindfulness and well-being. So when it comes to burnout, you personally as a corporate well-being expert, what are your tips, your practices, your suggestions when it comes to that topic, not only about prevention, but also identifying and managing this challenge?
Yeah, so I've also experienced burnout, of course, and I know how it's a horrible experience, and I think it's very, very common. So as you said, the first step is to be able to identify it, really, because so many people they're not able to even identify what's happening to them, and then that's not helpful to get us to the solution or prevention afterwards. And as a mindful movement expert, of course I would go back to the body. So one thing you can do today, even if you're watching this now with us or you're watching the recording, I want you to pay attention to your posture right now. So if you have shoulders that are dropped forward, if you're a bit hunching forward, and if you have stiff neck or stiff lower back, they're all indications that you've been working towards accumulating all the stress and anxiety in your body. So that's something we don't want to do. So by changing just the posture to go upwards and shoulders back and allowing some space between each vertebrae of the spine for the air to flow is already a small change you can do right now, and that will have a lasting effect in your body. So the second thing you can do is to do a body scan. So starting from your head and really being aware of all the tension or from any blockages. If there's a point or part in your body that feels a bit restricted and your movement is not at its full capacity, it's another indication that something is going wrong. And if you generally feel fatigued, like you sit in the chair or at the couch and it feels like a major task to go get some water, then that's an alarm ringing. That is not because you've done so much physical exercise that it's a different kind of soreness, or it's not muscle soreness. It's about how your whole body is telling you that there's not enough blood flow, there's not enough circulation, and there are so many things that are stored in it that it's at its full capacity. So there's a point that you can't go further. You can't go further like that. So we need to go backwards, a little bit backwards, unpacking, as we said, using mindful movement, using mindfulness, meditation, the practices that help us make sense of our state of being, unpacking what we've done so far, to then learn to keep that free body going forward.
Wow, that's so beautiful, beautifully said. And honestly, Iris, by just listening to you talking about this topic, every single time as I talk with you about this world, you make me feel way more relaxed and way more centered and grounded. And you make me thinking every single time that you are one of those people who actually preaches what they tell to the world about. You are one of the people who actually, you are your own ambassador of your own message, and the absolute embodiment of everything you inspire us to do, and to feel healthier, to feel happier, to feel calm. And yeah, it's just a feeling that I have with you every single time I have the chance to talk to you. So it's just so wonderful, you know.
Thank you so much for saying that. But I have to say, whatever you're feeling and whatever experience you're having, it's because of you. Um, I'm here to facilitate that connection. I'm here to support that connection and perhaps inspire that connection. But it is because you show up, it's because you are available and you allow for this reception to happen. And I want everybody to know that they have this capacity as well. And we're here to support them in this journey.
This is so inspiring. And the beautiful thing is, for all the people who are watching this now or later, that you can actually connect with Iris via so many different ways, right? So one of the ways is that you can go and watch her live in person in Tate Modern, where she is going to deliver this beautiful performance, Our Labyrinth, it's going to be by the end of the middle of June, 15th of June. Also, you can have the experience of being part of her amazing mindfulness, mindful movement signature program, which is going to reactivate on the 1st of July. We have included all the links here on the chat, but also when we are going to reshare this link to all our social media, we'll include those links in the comment section. Also, on top of that, you can work with Iris as a corporate well-being expert via Urban Yoga Lab and via Oxygen platform, our amazing platform where we deliver end-to-end employee well-being programs to SMEs. So if you're an SME and you're looking for mindfulness solutions, here we are with Iris to deliver something really special for you and your team. Now, as we reached already the end of this interview, I want to say that it was so inspiring. I feel so much more uplifted right now. And I feel so proud of you, Iris, and so happy that we got connected at first place a few years ago. Is there anything that you would like to share with, as a message to end our today interview? Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Thank you so much for having me, Alexandra. It's always a pleasure talking about these things that are really central and important in our lives as well, supporting others in their journey. I want to stress out how important it is for people to know that they can start where they are. Mm-hmm. And I want to also share with whoever's watching right now or later, a little exercise, a little tip that they can practice at home or at work or wherever they are really. So it's a mindful movement exercise. So you stand in the space that you're in, and in the room you have to look around and find one thing that excites you, an object, and I want you to walk mindfully to that object and really pay attention to the way you place your feet on the ground, taking your steps. So one feet follows the other, and I want you to really pay attention to how your heel connects with the floor, and then your toes, then your next foot, heel toes, until you reach that object. If that's enough for you at that point, that's fine, you can leave it there. But if you feel like exploring something more, you can turn around the room again, pick a different object, and walk slowly and mindfully to that object. So you pick a destination using that object, and your mere focus is on that while being aware of the way your steps meet the floor. So it's a really small thing you can do today to get an idea of what a mindful practice could be.
Such a wonderful tip, such a wonderful hack, and easy to follow, easy to practice. Beautiful, Iris. I honestly feel so much honored that you are part of our Urban Yoga Lab team. And I really want to invite our clients to, and of course our prospects, to call us and connect with us in case they would like to work with you. And we highly recommend them to do so, because we have, and our team, we have witnessed the beauty of your programs, the great feedback you normally get from those programs, and the amazing kind of interaction and engagement relationship you build with every single employee. So I want to say again, thank you so much for joining me today, Iris Athanasiadi. It was an amazing, I had such an amazing time, really. I enjoyed our time, really. And I look forward for a part 2. Why not? We can do a part 2 and we can dive even deeper in this world of mindfulness at workplace.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure to talk with you, Alexandra. I look forward to meeting new people who would like to embark on this journey with us.
Amazing, fascinating. As I said before, you can reach out to us or directly to Iris via the links. We are going to find them on the chat box here, but also on the comments on every single post. We're going to share this interview via LinkedIn, via Facebook. Instagram didn't work very well today, but maybe next time it will be better, one step at a time. So I wish you everybody to have a wonderful, wonderful week and rest of the day, to enjoy the sun. And yeah, I'll speak to you all soon. Aris, thank you so much for being here today again.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.